Okay, we're looking at Photoshop. We're talking about introduction to Photoshop. So what is Photoshop? Photoshop is a program that is used to edit and create images made up of pixels. Now to begin, Photoshop has a lot of tools and sections that when people open Photoshop, they may get confusion. They think they can't use Photoshop, but when you try to break it down into sections, you will really feel comfortable using it. So now we'll talk about looking at the tools. So these are the tools sections. We have the menu bar, we have the option bar, and we have the panels. So these are the panels. Let me reset to snapshots. Right, when you open Photoshop, when you install Photoshop, this is what you're going to see. So these are your panels, and there's your tools, and these are your menus, and these are your options that you get. So your options are the extra tools that is being given to your extra features that are given to you when you select a tool. So you see when you select the tool, it gives you different options. These are the various sections of Photoshop. So now I'll be talking first about the menu bar. So the menu bar contains file, edit, image, layer, type, select, filter, and all these sections. This will help you to actually make edits and also to help you navigate through Photoshop. So first, we're talking about how to open, how to create, how to save edits. So I first spoke about the sections of Photoshop. When you have the menu, you have the tools, you have the panels, and you also have the canvas. So let me open a file, Photoshop file, so we see how the canvas. So this is a canvas. So this is a canvas that has been given to us to work on. So that's what we talk about the canvas. So this is a very important section of Photoshop. So this is where you work on. Is this work where you work on? Yes. And before that, we're looking at how to open, how to create, and how to save a document. If you've not opened or created a document, you never get a canvas to work on. But I'm going to look at how to open and create. So now to open a document, you go to File. Let's assume you've already created a document. So you go to File and you click on Open. Then I locate the file. I've saved my file on desktop. So you click and you open the document. There's also another way to open a document. So let's close it. So now if I be on your desktop, then I search for your file and you double click it. You double click it to open the file for you. You can also drag and drop into Photoshop. So you can, let's take this and drag and drop this to Photoshop and open this. So now we've learned how to open a Photoshop file. When you open your Photoshop file, you have your canvas. And now you're going to learn how to create a Photoshop document. So to create a Photoshop document, you go to File and go to New. Now when you click on New, it gives you this dialog box. It gives you this dialog box that will help you to give Photoshop the dimensions what to work on. But to first create a document, you have to give your document a name. So let's give it a name. So let's say test. Then now when you come below, these are the dimensions you give to Photoshop. So you can give Photoshop the dimensions, and these are the measurements that you can get. So if you click on this, you're going to get pixels, you're going to get inches, you're going to get centimeters, you're going to get millimeters, you're going to get points, you get meters. But what we normally use is pixels, inches, centimeters, and millimeters. These are the measurements we are familiar with. So when you're given a work, I want a work that's the size is 7 by 6. You come and you click on inches and you type your dimensions to 7 by 6. Now you can decide to choose whether you want it in your portrait form or in landscape form. But today we'll be looking at creating an Instagram size document. So Instagram images being formed in pixels. So 1080 by 1080. You can also have Photoshop app has also given you presets. So if you go to print, maybe someone gives you a work and says, I want a design on an A4 paper. I want to create on A4 paper. So you can, Photoshop has given you a lot of dimensions that you can use it. So you have A4, A6, A5, A3. So there's no need to go and search what's the size for an A4 and you come and type it in. You can just click on it, then create it. So let's go back to the document we created, 1080 by 1080. So let's create. So now, as I mentioned, Photoshop is a program that is used to edit and create images made up of pixels. Somebody's going to ask me, what is pixels? So pixels are different boxes of colors coming together to form an image. So when you look at this document that I have here, you're going to see that when I zoom in, you're going to see a lot of boxes here. So there are different colors coming together to form this image. I will use the image below here so I'll be very clear with that. So looking at this image that we have here, when you try to zoom in, you see that it has different boxes of colors. So even here, you see that there are 2 different colors here. So we have different, let me reduce my size. Different, even my brush is actually creating pixels. So different boxes coming together to form an image. So that's pixels. That's pixels. Now let's come back to the document of creating. So after creating a document, we've learned how to open the document. We've learned how to create a document. Then now we're going to learn how to save a document. So now to save a document, let's try and make some designs here. Let's put the text here. This text. So now we have our design here and we want to save it. So the reason why we are giving the function of save is so that we can come back and make our changes. Just like if you have a Word document and you save it, you can come back at any time to make some editing on it. So that's what Photoshop also does. After working, you can save it and come back and change some features in it. So now to save a document, you come to the menu bar and click on Save. Now, because you already give it a name, just giving it a name here. So now I click on Save. Click on OK. So now we can close it. And now come to File, open it. We have our test. We have our test document here. So now we can open it. You see now we can come back and edit. So now we've learned how to open, we've learned how to create, and we've learned how to save a document. So somebody could ask, so after making a design, I see people creating designs with Photoshop, and how did they bring it out so that they can share it on their WhatsApp or Instagram post? So that's when we also come to how to save it as a copy. So you save it as a copy so that you can share it with people. So when you click on save as a copy, you have an option to choose what format you want. So Photoshop gives you a lot of format that you can see. We have JPEG and we have PNG here. So you can choose JPEG. This is the normal picture format you've been using. Then you click on Save. Click on OK. So now when you go to our desktop, you see that it has saved it for us. And we can share it with other people. So now let's go back to Photoshop. Let's talk about the tools that we have here. So looking at this page, we have tools that you can use to work on. And we also have your layers. So we have your panels. So these are different panels that can also help you work on your documents. I'll be talking about panels first. I want us to look at layers. So layers is a very essential panel that is being used that will help you to create your document. So now I want to take a document so that we could actually have a full understanding of what layers are. So layers, these are how layers are. So looking at this section, you see that we have 1, 2, 3. This is how I want to have, let us look at an example of how a layer looks like. So now when we look at this picture, so it is a picture that is being formed. This is a picture that is being formed with Photoshop. So it's just one image, but within this picture has a different layers. So you can see that this is layer 1, this is layer 2, this is layer 3. So now you can see that because layer 1 is first, it's at the back, and because layer 2 is second, it has covered some parts of layer 1, and because layer 3 is the last layer, it covers some part of the first layer and covers some part of the second layer. So that's how layers work. Let's take an example. So this is a panel of the layers, and you can see this is an image that someone has created. And you can see this is the background. This has a background. The background image. That's the first. So this is the first layer. That's the background. The box here indicated it's here. And we have the text. The text is on this layer, and you can see it here. The text is being written here. Then we have the black bar. So the black bar is here. And we have the text on top also. So you can see there are different layers coming together to form an image. And all these white places are transparent. So any place that's transparent on the layer means you can see through to the end, to the next layer. Yes, so that's the definition how the layers. If I want us to look at this document, we have a clear view of how layers work. So now let me disable all these layers. So now I've disabled all these layers, and now we have the background layer, which is the image. So when I enable those gradients, you can see that it's trying to fill up. When I add this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up, it's coming. And the reason why we can still see the background is because the transparency of the gradient has been reduced. So if I try to increase the transparency of the gradient, you see that we can't see the background layer again. So let's try to decrease it. So the more we decrease it, the more we try to see the layer behind. If I try to bring layer 1, the background, on top of the gradient, you're not going to see the gradient again. And if I try to decrease the image, you see that we will gradually begin to start to see the gradient. So that's how layers work. So let's bring our layer down and decrease the transparency. So if I bring this icon, you're trying to bring this icon below. When you bring it below, you see that it's still vanish. It's vanishing because it has come under the background layer, which has covered all the canvas. So if I try to reduce opacity, you see that the icon will start showing. So if you want our icon to show, we bring it on top, then we can see it. So that's a function of layers. This tool applies to every layer. If I bring this text layer below, I won't see it. If I bring it up, I can't see it. If I bring it in between the gradient, you can see that it will fade because we still have the gradient being the transparency of the gradient has been reduced. If I increase it, you're going to see the text again. That's a function of layers. That's the power of layers. So now, having this in view, we are going to be able to arrange your layers according to how you want the viewer or the person viewing your design to see it. So next, we'll be looking at the tools that we have. So these are the instructions for your tools. So first, we have your move tool. The move tool is very essential because it helps you to move items within your canvas or within your artboard that has been given to you. When you click on the move tool, you have to click on the layer you want to move before you can start moving it. You click on the layer, you click on the text, then I'll start moving it. You click on this layer, I'll start moving. So that's how the move tool works. I'll try to create this. And I click any tool and I want to move this around. It will never move. This is a selection tool. It's not made to move this. But if I select the move tool and I select the layer that I made and I try to move it around to start moving. So if I select the circle and I try to move it to start moving, if I select the text, it's going to start moving around. So that's how the move tool works. But Photoshop can also make it easier for us to auto-select items. If you have a lot of items on your canvas and you don't always have to come here and select, come here and select, come here and select. Photoshop automatically checks this icon for you when you install it. So when you click here to start moving this icon for you, when you click this to start moving this, when you click this to start moving this. So that's the power that Photoshop has also given you. But I recommend you use, when you have a lot of layers, you have a lot of panels. So looking at this, if you put on auto select, you can't move your background layer. So if I try to select rather the gradient, but that's what you're seeing now. If I select it, select this, all right. But if I want to select this, I have to disable it. And I'll click my layer and I can start moving my background layer. So if you're working with a lot of content or graphics on your layers, it's advisable to deactivate the auto select. But if you are not working with any complex layers, you have just selected and just be moving things around. Yes. So now we have shortcuts. You don't really have to come to select it on a toolbar before you can start moving things around. You can select, you can press on V. So when you hover over this button, it's going to give you a shortcut that you can press. Just press the key V on your keyboard. It's going to activate the move tool. So let me choose the brush tool. So if I'm done brushing and I want to move it around, I press V to activate the move tool. And now I can start moving it around. I click my layer to move it around. My layer and start moving it around. So that's the function of the move tool. Now the next you're going to look at is the brush tool. So I've been using the brush tool to make some illustrations. There's what it does. So with the brush tool, if you want to make any design or any element with the brush tool, you first have to create a new layer. And how are you going to create a new layer? You're going to create a new layer by clicking this plus sign here. So when you press this sign here, you're going to, when you press this sign here, you're going to see a new layer pop up here. And now you can start drawing on it. You can start drawing on it. So that's the function of the brush tool. And as I said earlier, you could, Photoshop also give you options of every tool that you press. So when you have your brush tool, you have the option to choose how big the size is. So let's create a new layer. We create a new layer and we draw. And I want the size to be small. I can come and decrease the size. And when I draw, it becomes smaller. The brush becomes smaller. It becomes small. So they would become very thin. So you can have a smaller brush here. And the other option that you also get is you also get the hardness. So if you look at this brush hardness is being set to 100. So you see that the edges are very hard. The edges are very hard. But if you decrease the hardness and you brush, you see that the hardness is, the brush is very soft. So let's make it 50%. You see it becomes a little harder. And you make it 100. Let's use a different color so you get a difference. You see it becomes very hard. So that's the options it also gives you. So this is soft, very soft. This is very soft. Yes. Then you also have transparency. The transparency is how visible you want your brush to be seen. So let's choose a different color so we can look at how it works. So now we have the transparency to be 100%. Sorry, your visibility to be 100%. So when you, let's make this hard. So when you draw, you're going to see the full color. But when you try to decrease it to, let's say, 50%, you see that it starts decreasing. The transparency start becoming lighter and lighter. So even the tool, you start to see anything. Something is visible, but it's not very clear. So that's the options you also get. And the shortcut for brush is B. So these are some of the options you get when you're using the brush tool. Yes. And the next, yes, you can, there's also a way that you can also increase the size of the brush. You don't always have to come here and be increasing the size of your brush. You can equally use the brackets tool on your laptop, on your laptop keyboard, or any keyboard you're using. So when you use the left bracket key, so this is the bracket key I'm talking about. So these are the bracket keys on the laptop, on your keyboard. So when you have your brush, and you press the left bracket key, it will start decreasing the brush. So when you brush, it becomes smaller. When you press the right bracket key, it becomes bigger, and I can have a bigger brush. So this is some of the shortcuts that you can use that can make you very efficient but faster. Now, our next you're going to look at is the text tool. So text tool lets you create text in your document. And with the text, you don't always have to create a new layer to create it. You can just click on the document and create a new layer for you. When you click on a free space on the canvas or the artboard you've been given, when it starts to type, it starts to generate text to the right. And you see that once you keep on typing, it will start going outside the canvas and you can't see it. So someone here to ask, how can I create a lot of, if I have a lot of text and I want to create, and I don't want it to go beyond the canvas, what do I do? So you click on the text tool, and you click and you drag. And now you can have a lot of text. Have a lot of text here. So that's how it works. So we'll come to the options that Photoshop gives you when it's in like the text tool. And the options that you get is to choose a font type you want. So let's choose this font type you want. You can also choose a font size. You can choose the orientation. If you want it to be center aligned, if you want it to be right aligned, if you want it to be left aligned. These are some of the options it gives you. It can also give you the option to change the color of the font. And when you're done, you click this check tool to select the type of text. The text also give you more options that you can do. And what it gives you is you have a panel. You can have a panel here for the character. That will give you a lot of functions that you can play around with this text. So if you don't see your character here, you will click on window and you click on character. When you click on character, it will bring the tool here. So within this tool, you can increase the size of the font. You can increase the spaces within your text. You can also decrease the spaces within your text here. And you can make it bold. You can make it italics. You can make it all caps. So these are some of the options you can have. So you can play around with this. So you have a function of there. That's the help that panels can also give. So this is a character panel that you have here. Yep, so we'll end this tutorial here, continue next week. So let's try and bring all our worksheets done here. These are all the layers we've created. Let's save it. So as you remember, to save document, go to file and you save it. If we save this document, you just save it to what you created the first time, because you've already saved this. If you save it, it's just going to update it for you. But if you want to save it as a different file, you go to save as. When you click on save as, you can save it as a different document. So you can save it text too, and you save it. And now when you go to the desktop, you have two different test folders. So we have two different test files. We have test 1, then we have test 2, what we created. So test 2. So that's what we have for this session of Photoshop.